Good morning, guys. How are you? Are we ready to continue on finding out about finding Machu Picchu? Good. So let's get turned to page 70 and 71. Okay. Now, if you haven't read 70 and 71, you need to go ahead and pause me, and you need to go ahead and read that, and then unpause me when you've finished. Okay, and we'll continue. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Pause. And now I'm unpaused. Okay, so this is called A Child Leads the Way. All right, first thing I want to do is talk about our words to know on this page. Constructed, demonstration, labor, and precise. You are going to like these words because basically the definition is very close to just being one word. So here we go. Constructed. It simply means built. If you construct something, you build something. If it's constructed, it's built. Okay, demonstration. It means to display or show something, to display something, to show something. That's all it means. Labor, gonna love this one. Work. How about that? Work. And then precise, even better. It means exact or specific. Very easy words, guys. I told you were gonna like the words this week when it comes to the vocabulary for our PILA. Okay, so now here we go. A child leads the way. All right, so I am going to read just the top part because it's really interesting. And then we're going to talk about the site evidence A and B. All right, it goes, the explorers reached the end of their long climb. There was a grass hut ahead. Native farmers greeted them. Bingham and his men rested in the shade. They enjoyed the view of the canyon. There were several terraces, flat steps of stone and earth. Bingham saw that the locals used the terraces for farming, just as the Inca had centuries before. The local men told Bingham about ruins that were nearby. Bingham had heard tall tales before. He did not expect to find much. Artiega did not even seem eager to leave the shade of the huts. All right, so they climb up and they come to a village, and so they're resting under the shade of the huts, and the local villagers and the farmers, they're telling them, oh yeah, there's ruins right nearby, and of course Bingham, he's like going, oh, okay, yeah, and and of course he's very curious, but he's not expecting to find something incredible. He's expecting, some more ruins, kind of like these terraces, or, it's going to be another little cobbled street. What people do, just we're going to find little bits and pieces, but we're not going to find a massive, city. So, Artiega, who is, sorry, my nose itches. So, Artiega, who was the local who led them up the mountain. Remember, he was the one where they were camping out, and he said, sure, I can take you, up to the mountains. There's some things up there. So he takes them through the jungle, across the Urubamba River, and then takes them up the steep mountain to where they get to this terraced off, this plateau, where, they have this amazing view of the canyon, and of course the Urubamba River is raging below them. So it's very beautiful and magnificent once they get to this small village. Now, Artiega, he's not even interested in going any farther. He's like, nope, I'm done. I'm resting in the shade. So one of the little boys up at this village that's up right at pretty much the base of Machu Picchu, well, what we know is now going to be Machu Picchu. So the little boy takes them around this mountain ridge. They kind of go through like this forest, and then they're at this cave. Well, this cave is beautifully done. Let me find it right here. It says, okay, when they rounded the mountain ridge, that is when Bingham started to notice, let's do this, that the stonework was improving the farther they got. It kept improving. And there were magnificently constructed terraces, okay? Then the forest. Then I almost forgot this. There was a maze of ancient houses. And these houses were made of granite. the same kind of rock that the mountain is made out of. Okay, they were covered with moss and vegetation. Still, Bingham could see the precise craftsmanship which they had built so long ago. Going over to page 71, Bingham's young guide led him to a cave. The cave was lined with hand-carved stone. Above the cave, there was a beautiful rounded building. Nearby was a stone stairway. So there was this cave that had been lined with beautiful hand-carved stone. And then above the cave was this rounded building that had been built. And then next to it was a stairway. So climbing the stairs, Bingham found the magnificent ruins. So once they saw the cave and the round and then the staircase and went up, and then there was Machu Picchu straight in front of them, the whole thing. It says, the walls of these ancient buildings were made of perfect white, 10-foot tall stone blocks. The site was a remarkable demonstration of the Inca skill, labor, and art. All right, so now let's get back to site evidence A. It goes, underline the cause and effect that led, underline the cause that led to the following effect. So a boy showed Bingham the way instead. Why did the boy take Bingham the last bit of the way and not Artiega? Artiega, he was tired. He didn't want to leave the shades of the hut. He wanted to rest. He was done. Probably thinking like, okay, I've led you through a jungle, across a raging river. I've led you up a steep mountain. I'm done. It's up to you now. And so a young boy says, hey, I'll take you to the ruins. Not a problem. And off they went. So what you want to do is look at paragraph 6. And you want to get paragraph 6. Okay, guys? You want to count down 1, 2, 3. And it's actually going to be the 4th sentence in the paragraph. Okay, guys? Artiega did not seem eager to leave the shade of the huts. Okay? So it's going to be the 4th sentence in paragraph 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, guys? All right. Cite evidence B. Circle the words in paragraph 6 that hint at why the houses are covered with moss. Who built these houses? So look at where the word constructed is in bold black print. You want to go down and go 1, 2, and you will see the phrase maze of ancient houses. Maze of ancient houses. You want to circle ancient. Okay, guys? All right. And then this is very easy. In paragraph 6, you want to circle the last 3 words of the paragraph. So long ago. Okay? All right. Good job. And if you need to, you can rewind me a little bit and then pause me till you find what we're looking for. Okay? But it's right there in the video. Let's move on to page 71 and let's do the comprehension checks. It says, who or what contributed most to Bingham's discovery of the ruins? Was it A, Melchor Artiega? B, was it careful planning? C, the young boy? Or D, scientific instruments? So listen to the question again. Who or what contributed most to Bingham's discovery of the ruins? Well, it's not going to be scientific instruments. They weren't really using any. So, I mean, they were using instruments as they were going along. But that was more for documenting, right? Remember how they said they were documenting the plants and the animals and things like that. But they weren't really using it to, like, locate a place. How about Melchor Artiega? Did he get him to the actual ruins of Machu Picchu? No, he didn't, remember? He decided he wanted to stay in the shade of the huts. He was tired. He didn't want to go any farther. How about careful planning? Careful planning. Well, they did do careful planning, right? I mean, this was an expedition, so you definitely have a plan before you go. But basically, the plan was to go from the mid of Peru to the Pacific Ocean and see what they could find. It wasn't really like, oh, we're going to find this lost city. Excuse me. Bingham would probably hope and dreamed, but the most that people had found when it came to Inca civilization were really just small little ruins, the terraces that they were becoming known for farming, because up in the mountainous area, and then their cobbled streets that they made, because actually some of the cobbled streets, remember what we talked about yesterday, people still use them. They were still usable. That just goes to show you how great they were at their craft. It was actually the young boy. Remember, it was the young boy that was like when Artigas said that he didn't want to go. That's when the young boy in the village up in the mountains says, sure, I'll take you. And then he took them on a journey. Remember, he took them around a mountain ridge and they went through a small forest. That's when Bingham started noticing the terraces were coming, the craftsmanship was improving, wasn't as run down, but they were brilliantly crafted and made. Let's see, what else did they say? Oh, then they came upon the houses. And remember, these houses were made out of the granite, solid granite that the mountain itself was made out of. Then they came to that cave, where the cave was lined with beautiful carved stones. And then above the cave was this rounded, carved out building. And next to it was these staircases that led up. So when they went up the staircase, there was Machu Picchu in all of its glory, displayed out for everyone to see. Now, let's look at number 3. So it is the boy who was the most, because he truly led him to the ruins of the city Machu Picchu. Okay, number 2. Based on the text, now remember, based on the text, it is most certain that A, the local farmers lived in stone houses built centuries earlier. B, the local farmers knew of the ruins before Bingham did. C, the Inca builders used metal tools after trading with foreigners or explorers. And D, the Pacific Ocean climate preserved Aztec stonework. All right, so let's look at A. The local farmers lived in stone houses built centuries earlier. So when they reached that steep plateau where they could overlook the canyon and they were in that village and they were resting in the shade, were those houses made of granite or were they made of like grass huts? That's right, they were grass huts. The Incas from the Peruvians in 1911 were not living in granite homes. They were living in grass huts. Okay. B. The local farmers knew of the ruins before Bingham did. Yeah, it's going to be B, guys. The locals already knew about it. I mean, up there on that plateau where that village lived, they were like, oh, sure, we got ruins. Well, the little boy's like, I'll take you to see them right now. So, I mean, this was nothing new to the people who lived up there and in that area. They knew exactly where these ruins were. They knew where this ruined city was. Now, Bingham is given credit for, quote, finding Machu Picchu or discovering it. He more or less brought it to the attention of the world, is how I like to look at it. Because it truly wasn't lost. Because the people who lived there knew about it. So if someone knows about it, it can't be lost. You know, and these people, it's like they'd always been there. It wasn't a big deal to them. It's like, yeah, we got ruins. We got like a whole city. You know, we'll go up these stairs and you can see them. You know, but to the world, it was lost to us. And Bingham, what I like to say is just kind of brought it back to light. Brought it back to the light. So even though I think he's given the credit for discovery, but you can't discover something that wasn't lost. In my opinion. That's my humble opinion. So I'm kind of like, well, if a whole bunch of villagers and people who live there know about it, can't be lost. All right, so anyway, that's my opinion, people. All right, so let's look at number 3. The stone terraces were used for farming by both the Inca and the local people of 1911. Did the local people in Bingham's day build their own terraces? Site evidence. Okay, now this one doesn't flat out like give you site evidence. It's more like clues. Okay, it doesn't flat out say. But no, the villagers of 1911 did not build their own terraces. Okay. The reason why we know this is because look at their houses. The house that they did not live in granite houses. They lived in grass huts. The terraces that they were using were well crafted and worn. You could see that they were old. But they were using them the same way that the Inca civilization used it. So I'm thinking maybe these terraces, just from the evidence that's given, this was kind of like the outskirt of Machu Picchu. You know, the more you got to the center of the city, the more well crafted and preserved things were. So these people were still farming on the terraces of Machu Picchu. So no, the ancient Incans built these terraces that the farmers were using. Okay, so guys, that's it for today. So I will see you tomorrow and we'll wrap up this story, and then we'll have one more on Thursday, which will be the test review. Then I will see you back in class on Friday. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.